Rule of Rose was the most unfair ban I'd ever seen. The game was the victim of a gigantic lie that destroyed its image. It was linked to graphic child erotica and violence, even though there's nothing explicit in the game. It does talk about heavy themes such as abuse, violence, and trauma, but it always used metaphors to do that, just like many other games have done. So why was it banned? And well, as usual, the blame lies with the media and some politicians. But to really explain how this all happened, we first need to understand how Rule of Rose came to be. Back in the PlayStation 2 era, we had a lot of survival horror games. Some were good, some were bad, but in general, this type of game was really trending. So naturally, many companies wanted their own Silent Hill or Resident Evil, and Sony was no different. Around 2005, they decided they wanted to publish a new survival horror title, ultimately decided to offer the job to a relatively small and new game studio called Punchline, who grabbed the opportunity. They quickly got to work with one main goal, to create a different kind of horror game, something that didn't rely on the usual cliché of zombies, ghosts, and monsters. They wanted something with a focus on psychological horror. With that goal in mind, they started looking for inspirations and found it in the Grimm's Brothers fairy tales. These children's stories were perfect for creating horror without jump scares or anything like that. The stories were inherently scary, and that was exactly the feeling they were going for. And so they began. The first draft of the story focused on a little boy that, after being kidnapped by a mysterious man, tries to escape the place while being haunted by the ghosts of the past victims. But this concept was eventually scrapped. Sony thought the idea was too risky for the company's image. That cold shower forced Punchline to shift the central concept. Instead of focusing on the fear children have of adults, why not show both sides? What if we explored the fear adults could feel towards children? What would children do to adults if they had power over them? That's the reality they decided to explore. A cruel and merciless world, but at the same time innocent. By 2006, the game was finished. And since the focus of this video is the band itself, I'll just give a brief summary of the game's intro. Still, I recommend checking it out, the story is really good. Rule of Rose takes place in the 1930s of rural England and tells the story of Jennifer, a 19-year-old woman also known as the Unlucky Girl. For reasons unknown to us, Jennifer wakes up in an empty bus, except for a little boy, that approaches her and gives her a children's book and then runs off into the forest. With no other option, she decides to follow him and eventually stumbles upon a mansion, the Rose Garden Orphanage, a place that strangely feels familiar to Jennifer. As she gets closer, she sees what appear to be two children building a bloody stack. Like any good horror game protagonist, she decides to enter the orphanage to investigate, where she sees the same little boy running upstairs. Eventually, we find him, and he tells her the funeral is about to begin, a funeral for a dear friend of Jennifer's. Curious, she heads to the courtyard where the funeral is taking place, but all she finds is a shovel and a grave. The funeral is already over, but she still wants to know who is this friend. Someone she doesn't even remember, but apparently is important to her. So she digs and opens the coffin, only to find that same bloody sack from before. But before she can even do anything, the children reappear and kick her into the coffin, locking her inside. Without any memories of how she got there, Jennifer wakes up in a blimp, tied up. Suddenly, a voice speaks to her and explains what's going on. She's now part of the secret society of children, the aristocrats of the Red Crayon. From now on, she must offer gifts to the leaders regularly, or they will kill her. In January 2006, the game was published by Sony in Japan without any issues. But when it came the time to release the game internationally, Sony got scared. They claimed the game had become too heavy and didn't align with the corporate image they had. This led to an ultimatum for Punchline: either tone down the story or Sony wouldn't publish it overseas. Punchline chose the second option. Watering down the story would completely contradict the game's purpose. That was to portray how children behave without the filters of guilt or sin, and how they can be cruel and terrifying. The problem now was that Punchline had no one to publish the game internationally. But luckily, Atlas loved the game and agreed to publish Rule of Rose. So finally, at E3 2006, the Western release was announced. Everything seemed fine. Everyone was excited for the launch of the game, and by November of the same year, content ratings had already been assigned. 15 plus in Japan, 16 plus in Europe, and 17 plus in North America. But the moment the game was announced, rumors started spreading that the game featured violence against children, and that's when everything began to go wrong. Those rumors made it to the media. The Italian magazine Panorama published an article about it, and the British press quickly picked it up, claiming the game contained scenes of children being buried alive, sadomasochism, and children's sexualization. And just remember, that's a lie. None of that is in the game. And as expected, with the media spotlight on the game, some politician would talk about it for popularity's sake. It's always the same story. The media creates an enemy, and even if it's a fake one, someone's going to stand up and fight it. The problem is that our so-called hero wasn't just some minor politician that would talk shit about the game and that's it. It was the actual European Union's Justice Minister, Franco Frattini, who began to publicly attack the game, calling it obscene, cruel, and brutal. And he didn't stop at just words. He actively attacked the PEGI system, Europe's game rating board, claiming that the 16 plus rating was wrong and the game should be banned. According to him, PEGI was failing to protect children, even though he didn't even know what was in the game. He didn't play it. To make matters worse, he started encouraging other politicians to go after the game too. It became a battle between two sides, and unfortunately, the louder but misinformed side won. On March 7, 2007, a group of European Parliament members proposed banning Rule of Rose across Europe. Keep in mind, the game hadn't even been released yet. They wanted to ban Rule of Rose based only on rumors, or maybe the trailer. None of them had played the fucking game, which even made PEGI respond to Frattini's accusations, basically saying, I have no idea where the suggestion of in-game sadomasochism has come from, nor children be buried underground. These are things that have been completely made up. We are not worried about our integrity being called into question because Mr. Frattini's quotes are nonsense. But even PEGI's response, along with Atlas begging people to play the game before judging it, were able to stop them. No politician or journalist actually played the damn game and it still got banned, making the release of Rule of Rose a myth. Even worse, the controversy spread beyond Europe, reaching places like Australia and New Zealand, which led 505 Games to cancel their planned releases on the game. So yeah, because of all of this, Rule of Rose was pulled from the store shelves in various regions, and ended up becoming the second rarest PS2 game in existence, only behind Kwon. Copies go for absurd prices on eBay, becoming a kind of holy grail for collectors. So, in a weird way, the ban wasn't all bad. Rule of Rose became a cult classic, despite the questionable gameplay. And that's the takeaway. Really, don't blindly believe the media or politicians. Do your own research, based on facts, please. Because half the time, not even they know what the hell they're talking about. It's becoming more and more common. Nobody bothers to go after the truth anymore. They just want someone else's pre-chilled opinion, even if it's a lie. Anyway, if you liked the video, consider leaving a like and subscribing. My channel is still really tiny, so it really helps. I'm sorry for my questionable English, I'm still learning how to properly talk. Anyway, thank you for watching, have a great week, and see ya.